So before we can attach the weapon to the player's hands, we have to create a socket. Remember, we created a socket earlier when we created the player camera and we attached that camera to the head of the player. So we need to add another socket where we attach the weapon to the hand of the player. So let's go to the marketplace folder and go to the military character Silva to go into that skeleton here. Remember, this is the S camera. This is the socket for the camera that we added earlier. So now what we need to do is we need to add a socket for the hand of the player so they can hold the weapon. So for the hand right, this is where you usually hold a weapon. So having it on your right hand. So for the hand right, I can right click and add a socket. And here I'm going to click on F2 to rename it. And I'm going to call it S rifle. Now I'm going to add a socket for rifle and socket for the pistol. And now I tried earlier just adding one for the weapon, so S weapon, and I could add the pistol and the rifle to it. However, their position in the hand are different, so it's a lot better to add one for the rifle and one for the pistol. It looks a lot better. So selecting S rifle, and let's go ahead and add a preview animation so we can actually see what it looks like. So if I just search for rifle and I search for one of them, for example, the animation idle rifle, and I'm going to pause this animation to the first frame just so it's still and it's not moving, and I can adjust this socket. So clicking on this socket rifle, I can right click now, go to add preview asset, and let's just go ahead and add, for example, the M4A1, or it's called AR4 actually over here, and select it. Now we can preview it and we can adjust the socket. So go ahead and click on the socket and go ahead and select the rotation tool. And now you can rotate it 90 degrees this way. And I'm just trying to adjust it to the hand so it looks better. I'm going to reduce my camera speed. It is way too quick. And now you can see the one mistake here. You can try to adjust the socket right now. So the one mistake for this character is he's actually holding the rifle like this, and it looks weird because he's going to shoot forward down here. So if I'm standing in front of him, he's actually shooting in the air when he's supposed to shoot on me. So that is a bit like wrong on the animation side. You can't really do anything about it. So let's try to do it as best as we can. So this rotation should actually be like this, should be shooting forward. I'm going to remove the snapping for the rotation, and I'm trying to make it aim forward as best as possible. You can also go to the right view, actually go to the front view. And for the front view, you can again just rotate the weapon as best as you can. Here it is maybe better to see how he is aiming forward like that. You can go back to the perspective and take a look at it. Make sure he's aiming forward and everything is looking great. Maybe something like that. And then you can go ahead and move it up. Try to place it in the hand of the character, something like that. And just try as best as possible to place it correctly in the hand of the character. For example, having this trigger over here, making sure it doesn't go through his fingers like this here. So trying to move it forward a little bit, but still having it in the hand of the player. Now, you can't really do it perfect. If this was a serious project, the characters would be designed in a way that they are holding this weapon correctly. So the weapon and the character fit together. For example, in Counter Strike, they are designing it like that. However, here for this one, it's just a random character, random animation with random weapons. So you can't expect this to be 100% doable. So we're just trying to fit it as best as we can. Now this one is looking good. Everything is looking great. I can just try to drag it back a little bit, just like that. Everything's looking great. He's holding the weapon now. And you can see if I animate it, it's going to look like this, looking awesome. Now you have to test it with the other rifle just to make sure. So I'm going to right click this one and remove all attached assets. I'm going to right click again, add preview. And now let me add the KA47. Let me add the AK. Now you can see the AK is clipping through slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it up as much as I can without making it bugged. something like that. Now it's going to clip through slightly here, but whatever, like we can't really do much about it. These weapons are not designed for these animations, so we can't be 100% accurate. But something like this here, and again, I can select the rifle socket. Try to move it as down as much as you can without making it look buggy. Something like this, maybe that is the best I can do. And if you just right click, remove attached asset, right click again, add the AR4 as the preview just to make sure what it looks like. Now it looks like it's a bit more upwards, but this is the best we can do for this weapon. Like we can't really place it better because it's going to bug for the AK as well. Now you can look through the eyes of this character and make sure the rotation is correct. Now I think it's rotated a bit on the wrong side, so I'm going to click on this socket again and I'm going to hold E and then rotate it on this direction here. I think it's tilted a bit. So maybe something like that and it looks a lot better. Okay, so this was it for that. And yeah, everything is looking good. Now, just to make sure, I'm going to right click this again, remove it. I'm going to right click, add the KA47 just as the last time, just to make sure that everything is correct. Now, what we can do is we can always drag it a bit more this way so it's not bugging here through the handle and something like this. Okay, so it looks better now. Everything looks good. Now you can always adjust it slightly up and down. I think it looks good now. So let's save everything. Now you have to remember to add this to the other skeleton as well, but let's add the pistol first before we do that. Let's go to the preview now, or not preview mesh, preview animation, and let us search for pistol now. Let's take one of the pistol animations, and I'm just going to select this one, pistol idle here, and let's pause it at the first animation. Now for this one, I'm going to remove all attached assets. Let's right click on the hand and add a new socket. And I'm going to call this one pistol, or actually S pistol, so we know it's a socket. And now for this one, let's right click and add the pistol as the attached asset. So if we just add our pistol. Now again, just like before, let's rotate this socket. And I'm going to add this grid or this snapping tool on and rotate it 90 degrees. Again, just like before, rotate it this way so it's pointing forward. You can always go back to the front view, go ahead and zoom in, select the pistol or the socket here, and remove the snapping. I'm going to rotate it slightly down so it's aiming correctly, and go to the perspective view, check if everything is looking okay, and try as best as you can to make it aim forward, and we can always adjust it later. Now, let us move it into the hand of the player like that, and this way, maybe this way. And again, try to place the finger on the trigger as best as you can. So something like this. Again, we can always adjust it later. It's not really a problem. If something is a bit messed up, you can see the rotation is a bit messed up. It's tilted too much. So I'm going to, again, rotate it this way so it's not tilted like this. And I think this is good. We can always adjust it later. Now let us try to move it as best as we can in the hands of the player. And I think something like this is looking good. And I think I will move it just slightly up. It looks just like that. Okay. So now he's holding the weapon and he's shooting it forward. You can always try to preview it. You can try to preview it with other animations if you wish to. For example, if I search for pistol and I take this pistol fire, you can see what it looks like. So looks good now. Let's go ahead and save everything. Now you have to copy those. Let's right click and remove all the attached assets. You have to copy those to the other skeleton as well. So I'm going to take this socket. I'm going to right click here and copy selected socket, or you can click on Control C. Go to the other skeleton, the military dog. Click on the right hand and Control V to paste it. Let's go to the other skeleton as well. Copy the rifle one and click Control V to paste it here as well. So this one have it as well now. Both the counter terrorist and the terrorist should work now. Okay, so that was it for the sockets. Let us move on to the next lesson.